Hello Flosstube. It is Thursday, the 5th of August 2021, and I'm filming a little bit later than usual. It's 8 o'clock at night here, and it's a dark and miserable night, and it's also very cold, which will teach me for complaining about the heat last time I spoke with you all. But yeah, it's a really miserable August evening, and I apologize for all of the shadows that you'll see, and I'm hoping that I'll still be able to show you my stitching well even in this light, but filming during the daytime is well, it's almost an impossibility. I do say almost an impossibility because I have a couple of snippets of film with a little helper to interject into today's episode, so I hope that you'll enjoy those and appreciate them for what they are. This is my Flosstube channel. It's about cross stitch and embroidery, and sometimes a little bit about quilting and whatever other needle crafts I fancy getting up to, and sometimes there's a little bit of life thrown in. There's not too much life to share this time, since we last met. Really not very much has been happening. It's all been a bit domestic here, and I am just counting the days until school starts back at the end of August. Not that I don't love her very much, but she's a handful, and it will be very nice to share the responsibility again with school. Oh, what a terrible mummy I am. Anyway, that's about it on the live front. As I said, nothing exciting happening, nothing to report this time. Just want to give a few mentions, a few shout outs and thank yous to Laura at Stitching by the Shore, and to Kathleen at Kathleen's Trodden Trail. Both of them are really wonderful floss tubers. If you haven't been to see them, I will put their names down below so you can check them out afterwards. I love both of these ladies, and I thank you both for your little shout out about the stitch along for the Finestra del Tempo, the little calendar months that started on the 1st of August. So thank you both very much for the shout out of my channel and of the SAL. And I do hope that you're both going to join in the end and stitch along with me and with the others who are already started and sharing pictures in the Facebook group, or sorry, not the Facebook group, in the Instagram page. So thank you to Kathleen and thank you to Laura, and if you fancy taking a wee peek at them, go over and have a look. I should also shout out to you Lauren at Flossabilities, who is a UK stitcher. She's really genuinely lovely, and she stitches ginormous heads, full coverage pieces, and while it's not something that I stitch myself, I do love to see all kinds of stitching and sort of live vicariously through what other people are up to. So if you are interested, just go along and see. And she also shares some of her mum's stitching as well. Her mum's not on screen, but her mum's stitching is sometimes up for view. So go along and say hi to Lauren at Flossabilities as well. So while we're talking about other floss tubers, there's someone this week who deserves a very special mention, and that little mention we have pre-recorded, so here you go.
Happy birthday.
Hello everybody.
Hello everybody.
This is my lovely daughter. What's your name?
Charlotte.
Charlotte, hello. And today we have a very special thing to do. Yes, who are we going to sing to today? Chris, that's right.
Chris.
If you didn't already know, Chris Xrossstitch has a very special birthday this week, and so we wanted to sing happy birthday to Chris. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ready, steady, go.
All by yourself.
All by yourself, okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Chris. Happy birthday to you.
Yes, happy birthday, lovely Chris. Thank you for keeping us entertained.
Bye.
And for all that you do to make this neighbourhood a little bit bigger. Thanks very much, Chris. Happy birthday.
Bye.
I hope you like that, Chris. It's not easy to get her to sit still to video, but she does love to hear the sound of her own voice, and she was very excited yesterday to watch your latest episode and to learn that it was your birthday, because birthdays are a big deal for her. And also she liked to see your new puppet Sal. So for any of you who haven't been over to watch Chris Xrossstitch's latest episode, you really must. He has a new puppet friend joining him on set, and I will leave it at that, and you can go and find out for yourself. But very many happy returns, Chris. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you get to celebrate all year. So today I wanted to start my stitching with a previous finish, because I haven't returned stitching for very long, so I don't have a lot to show you all of the time, and I don't want you to get too bored with the things that you're seeing repeatedly. So I thought I would show you some of my previous stitches. Some of them will be ones that I've done more recently since returning to cross stitch, and maybe from time to time I'll show you a cross stitch that I did maybe quite some years ago, just to show you the variety of things that I like to stitch and that are up around my home or in use in various ways. So the first piece I wanted to show you today is this one. I'll just try and get the lights out of it. There we go. So I'm sure you've all seen this by now. It's Sew by Row by Holt, published by It's So Emma over at the Fat Quarter Shop. And this was a Fat Quarter Shop stitch along. I think it was back in March and April, so it was probably just before I was coming to Flosstube to create my own channel. It was a huge stitch, huge, but I absolutely love it. The sewing machines almost broke me to the point where I ended up just outlining them and moving on. And every time I came back to stitch another little piece of pattern, I would do another thread to fill in and another thread to fill in, because I really did think they were never going to be finished. And that was a killer week to put those 3 sewing machines in that row in the 1 week on the stitch along. But I got there in the end. I persevered. I just framed this myself with a frame which is from, having a look, it's from the Range. I thought it might have been IKEA, but it's similar to one in IKEA. But this is from the Range in a shop in the UK, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. I just framed it myself, and you can see it's not perfectly straight, but it's almost there. And I do tend to finish things. I know you haven't seen much evidence of finishing yet, but I do tend to finish things myself and try and frame them myself. There's just not always the budget for framing things professionally, but this suits the decor and what I needed it to do, and it hangs in my stitchy space. It's actually my sewing space, as in my quilting space, which is just to the right of me here as I'm sitting. Maybe one day I'll show you that, but it's a real mess today, so I'm not going to show you today. But it hangs there in my sewing space, and I just love it. I love all things Laurie Holt, and I love all things Fat Quarter Shop. Pretty much. They do far too many stitch alongs. I watched yesterday as Kimberly did her Flosstube video, and they just had so many. It was overwhelming, but brilliant for us stitchers, because it's there and it's something to participate in if you want it. I need to stop joining stitch alongs and stitch what I've got. But no doubt I will be enticed into another before very long. So I do have a current finish to show you. It's not fully finished, but it is a current finish. And that is this little piece, which I'm not going to get a good picture of the colour today, but the colour is Busy Lizzie thread. I think it is Gentle Arts, maybe. I've forgotten, sorry. it's called, the colour is Busy Lizzie, and the pattern is a celebration small by Hello from Liz Matthews. As I mentioned last week, you can get hold of these small freebies from Liz Matthew by signing up to the Hello from Liz Matthew newsletter. So you just go to her website, sign up for the newsletter, and you get access to a number of these freebies, smalls that she does. So this one I think is very cute, and I'm not sure whether I'll frame it or make it into a pillow. It's going to be quite a big pillow, but I think it might add a little bit of height if I have a few pillows in a dough bowl eventually, or a quasi dough bowl eventually, so it might add some height. Anyway, that's that one, and that was my second Whip Go project for July, which I hadn't quite got to the last time that we videoed, and I needed to put in the hours on that. So I did it, and I was able to finish it in the 10 hours that I set for my target. Next up is one of the stitch alongs I'm currently participating in, and it is the Tudor Bee. So that's the design by The Blue Flower by Janine McGowan. Tudor Bee, and the stitch along is being hosted by Amanda at Alba Stitcher and Kim at The Contented Stitcher. And here's my progress. I think last time I hadn't finished this oval inset. I hadn't finished the red and white stripes or chevrons that are in there, and I have now started to do the floral fill-in on the vine. I think that one's only just started, so and that one's not complete either, but it's nice to be adding some colour to the green, and I think it works beautifully on this fabric, which is a permin. I think I've just dropped the note on the floor, excuse me 1 minute. Back again. It is a 32 count permin linen French country mocha. So I love how that's coming along, slowly but nicely. So that is Tudor Bee Cell, and I have been I don't normally show, but I have keeping my projects in project bags, most of which I make myself, and these ones are obviously patchwork ones, and I use these little key tags on them because then I can write the name of the project in, which is particularly helpful if the project bag doesn't have a vinyl front. Although, to be honest, the mess my projects are in, even when they do have a vinyl front, it's sometimes hard to know what's inside. So last month obviously was July, and I was participating in Jolly July, and I showed you some of that last time, but one of the projects that I wanted to start for Jolly July and hadn't quite got to yet when I last videoed is this one, which is a modern folk embroidery pattern called O Tidings of Comfort and Joy. I love it. It's small, it's simple, it's gorgeous. I'm going to stitch this on 32 count vintage Stormy Night Lugana. And there's my tiny start. That's the full width that it will be, so you can see that I've got excess fabric. It's only a 9 by 13 piece of fabric, so it's really quite small, but it's going to be very delicate and beautiful. I'm not sure I want to show you my white stitches that close up because some of them not terribly tidy looking, but but anyway, there you go. So that will be O Tidings of Comfort and Joy. I really like that. I do really like working with one colour and one thread. There's something really satisfying about it. And probably at night when I'm tired, it's nice not to have to keep changing threads all the time and working out what colour comes next. And here's another of my project bags. I just used some leftover Christmas fabrics from my quilty stash and made myself a nice little bag for that one. So next then, oh yes, my next Jolly July progress update comes with a very special helper, so I'm going to just include that little snippet here now for you. So the next whip I want to show you is the Stitching with the Housewives. Wow, yes, it's a good one, isn't it, Charlotte? And this is And to All a Good Night.
Oh, good night.
And to all a good night. Will we show everybody what Mummy did?
Okay,
Okay,
let's go.
let's go. Where is it?
Where is it? Where is baby?
Here it is. Will we show everybody?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
See it.
You have to let Mummy move it. There we go. Can you tell everybody what's on there? What's this?
Oh, Santa.
Santa and his
Sleigh.
sleigh. And what are these going to be here?
Reindeer.
Reindeer. So Mummy stitched Santa in his sleigh and the reindeers, and I finished some of the extra snowflakes as well. Do you like this one, Charlotte?
Oh, yes, it's a very good one.
It's a very good one. Great. Okay, you say bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I think all things considered that she did very well. That Charlotte coped very well with presenting and explaining what Mummy's mad stitching is. Bless her. She has only watched herself back about 5 million times today. And we filmed that this morning. Just basically I was trying to keep her occupied for hours and hours on end this morning, and I thought we could do a little bit of that. There's no way I would have recorded this whole section, but along with Chris's happy birthday, I thought she might like to talk about Mummy stitching Santa Claus, since the girl is Christmas on the brain. So she enjoyed that, and it's nice for me to introduce her to you. So that was my And to All a Good Night. And that was the last of the Jolly July, my last stitch in Jolly July for this year. So then we moved into August, and as you know, I was starting a stitch along on the 1st of August for the La Finestra del Tempo patterns. That's time windows or windows of time patterns by Corset a Go-Go. So this is the first 4 of the patterns, and the next 4, May to August, are available on the Corset a Go-Go Etsy shop. And Marla did say sometime last week that the final 4, September to December, will be releasing sometime soon. So that will be exciting to see what they contain. But for now, I have started the sale with the intention of stitching one of these months per month, and I've started with January. But you can start wherever you like. If you already have 1 or 2 stitched, then share them on the Instagram. The hashtag I'll put below here is hashtag Finestra del Tempo Sal. And just join in, share your love of these patterns with us, and share how cute they are in the stitching. I made a start on mine, and I've got January. Well, that's showing up quite nicely. You can see that the white thread works well on my silver grey, I think it's Murano. Yes, it's 32 count silver grey Murano. And I love this snowman. I'm using the DMC called for, except the brown that is the snowman's arms, his twig arms, and that's because I can't find it. I do believe I had it. It was $8.98. I think I've substituted $3.857 maybe for it, but I can't be sure. Anyway, it's another dark brown, but I'm not sure. It's a mystery as to what has happened to my 898. Anyway, you can see I've finished the little chilly snowman, and let's see if I can show you this. So there's the chilly snowman and the house, and there will be some mittens and ice skates and a cup of hot cocoa to be filled into this center section as well. It's very cute, and I'm enjoying it very much. but I am surprised just quite how much stitching there is. They look small, they sound small because they are each 55 by 69 stitches, but you can squeeze a lot in, and Marilla has. So the beautiful designs, really enjoying it, and it's very nice to see other people's pictures popping up in the Instagram, under the Instagram hashtag. So thank you very much, those of you who've joined me. I know there are some more of you who are joining, but maybe just haven't reached the stage where you're sharing the pictures yet. So it's lovely. Please jump in at any time. It doesn't matter if you're starting late, if you're watching this video, you know, several months down the line, just jump in, come along and join us and have a little bit of fun. So it's been lovely so far, and thank you all so much for participating and making that possible. So I think I've just one more whip to show you, and that is my Needlepoint, Be Happy. This is by the Historical Sampler Company, and it comes as a kit. I've shown you before. Here's the lovely bag that it comes in. So it doesn't come with the finishing pom-poms, and it doesn't come with a backing. So it's a kit just for the needlepoint. So you have your printed fabric and your threads and your needle, with the woolen threads. I absolutely love this. You'll know that. I have reintroduced it as my daily stitch, daily thread. So one thread a day is going in. So I take about, sorry, I'm wobbling, about an 18-inch length of the wool, and I stitch that in each day. This morning I was up really early, and I was just awake very early, and I stitched a little bit more than just the single thread in this morning, because it was easy, and in the morning darkness it was easy to see. And I managed this morning to get all of these all filled in, so there's no more colour to add to this. All that's left is to complete the cream background. So I don't know, maybe another couple of weeks of one thread a day. Keep my fingers crossed, and it won't be very long before this will join my pile of things that must be finished, which is growing ever larger, slowly but ever larger. So I really need to think about doing some of those finishes, maybe when the nights get a bit shorter and the kids go back to school and I spend a bit more time at my sewing machine, I'll figure out what exactly I want to do to finish this one. This one I want to be a cushion for my chair in the lounge, my Stitchy chair that sits in the bay window. So if you've been participating in the Common Threaded Stitcher on Instagram, there's a little daily photograph get to know you thing. I'm not even sure what you call those, sorry, but you'll have seen that we had to post our Stitchy spots the other day, and I posted that I have a couple. One of them is on the sofa in the lounge, but in the daytime there's a nice armchair that sits in my bay window, and there's good light there during the day, next to none at night time. So I move over to the sofa where I have a magnifier and light, but during the day I like to sit in the armchair and just use the natural light. So that is the chair that I would like this to sit on. That's it really for my Stitchy whips this week. But what I do have to show you are some goodies, because I went on a little bit of a summer spending spree, which is unusual because I don't normally have really haul to show you, but I do have a nice little bundle here today to show you and share with you, and a couple of stories to tell. So first of all, what you've not seen on this channel is probably stitching of the more traditional variety, samplers, reproduction samplers and that kind of thing, and you just haven't seen them yet. It doesn't mean I don't stitch them, but I don't stitch many, and when I have stitched samplers, I have maybe updated colours and changed things, and I don't know if that was against the rules, but that's what I did a long time ago. And I have a nice band sampler, and I'll show that someday, and I have different things. But I'm not stitching many reproduction samplers. However, that doesn't mean I don't like them, and I love to watch, and I'm fascinated by other people's passion for them, really, and they are very beautiful. One of the things I want to be really careful with for my stitching is that if I stitch it, that I'm able to use it. So in my home, not all of those things work in my home and in my decor. So, but other ones can work, and you can change a colour here or there to make it work. So we all just have our own tastes. But I love to watch. Absolutely love to watch Brenda and Laura as they stitch, and so many that they stitch. And I have been inspired by them to purchase others. And you'll know, if you watch them too, that they always say buy all the blackbirds. It's a staple for them. Well, I've never owned a blackbird until I saw the 20th anniversary sampler that they created for Traditional Stitches in Canada. Sorry, I had a momentary blank. So Traditional Stitches in Canada is a shop, and it's their 20th anniversary, and they asked Blackbird Designs to design a sampler for them, which will be unique to them, only available through them for this anniversary year. And I loved it. When I first saw it, I didn't know it was unique to them, and was trying to find it. Eventually I worked out that that's where I would have to order it from, and so I saved my pennies and I placed an order with Traditional Stitches, and they were sending them out in waves. So I think I might have been 5 or 6 waves down, because they obviously there was very high demand, and just as they got them in, they were all going out. But it was worth waiting for, because here is my very first blackbird, and it is What Remains. I love the colours. The colours will work well in my house. I love the sentiment, what remains is love. And I think this is probably quite poignant at the moment, as you all will know and will all have heard that Barb, one of the 2 partners of Blackbird Designs, recently passed away. And what remains is love just reminds us that is the important thing, what's left to our kids and to our families is the love that we had. And maybe sometimes the love that we didn't, which should be a reminder to keep loving, so that love is what we're left with and not stuff. So I love the sentiment, I love the design. I really wanted to find a blackbird that would work for me, and this one will. So mine is not going to say 2020, it's not going to say 2021 either. But I'm hopeful that maybe this could be a 2022 project. For now, it will go in my stash. I might think about kitting it up, possibly as a Christmas present, and we'll see. But that's what remains. And of course, the other rule about no chart to travel alone, especially all the way from Canada to Northern Ireland. So I had to order something else. And the other chart that I ordered was a Hello from Liz Matthews, her new release, Clara Hansen. When I say new, it's probably a month or so ago. But I loved this sampler. I thought that it was beautiful. I love the colour. I think it would be striking in a number of colours. It would be a beautiful red sampler. It would be beautiful in black as well, I think. I do particularly like this colour, which it says on the back is DMC 502. For the sampler, the little pillow and the drum were stitched in Needlepoint silks, NPI silks. But this is 502, but when I looked at 502 online to order it, it didn't look anything like this. This is like a beautiful tealy aqua kind of colour, and online 502 looks more green. but I might be wrong. I think maybe when I'm next ordering threads, I will order one skein and see what the 502 really looks like. Because if it's as green as I've seen, that's not the colour I would want to stitch it in. But anyway, the gist is that this is a beautiful sampler by Hello from Liz Matthews, and it also came to me from Traditional Stitches. So earlier I spoke to you about Lauren at Flossabilities and her heads, her enormous full coverage pieces. They're not something that I would stitch. I never thought I would want to stitch a full coverage piece. And yet every time I see Lauren's work, I think, there must be something very satisfying about doing all those stitches and having the full picture. Part of my problem has been, well, let me just say that with those thoughts in my head, I then started to look at the head site and some of the other sites that do bigger full coverage pieces to have a look. But on the whole, the artwork isn't really something that I would hang once I'm finished with it. I'm fascinated by it. Lauren shows pieces. There's a beautiful oil piece that she is stitching, and there's another lovely piece that's like a cheese shop, and it sounds a bit funny, but it's lovely. But it's the fine details. It's the shading of the threads whenever something is supposed to look like it's behind glass in the cheese shop counter, and it's just fascinating from an artistic point of view. And I'm not much of a critic, but I do find it fascinating just how the threads are used and blended and put together to create all the subtle shading that is required of something with so much detail in it. So with all that swirling in my head, I started to check out, I wonder would there be a pattern for me, but I have to say that I haven't yet come across it. Some of them are beautiful, but if I ever was to stitch something that size with that much full coverage, I would want it to definitely be hanging with, you know, big glaring flashing lights around it saying I did this. But it would have to be the right design. And I had a look, but I didn't find one. And I think it's probably just as well that I didn't find one, because I'm honestly not 100% convinced that I have it in me to commit to something of that size. However, all of my searching led me to some other sites, and I spotted some other charts and things that I did like. They're not full coverage, but they're probably a little more full coverage than I would normally stitch. And the strange thing also is that they are kits. So I have ordered a number of kits, and that's not like me to order kits, but I kind of got sucked into a rabbit hole, as you do, and enjoyed very much just online shopping, window shopping, and hitting the click button. So I have a few to show you. The first one was this one, because I think it reminds me of Charlotte and how much she likes snowmen. This is Dimensions Gold Collection Petite, so it's not very big, but it is pretty close to full coverage. I think maybe some of the background are half stitches. Anyway, that's what I was tempted by and ended up in my basket from Lovecrafts. I think that one came along with some more fabric. I also went and had a look around the mybobbin.com site. Now, like me, you've probably seen lots of people promoting My Bobbin. They've been approached by My Bobbin and asked if they'd like to order a few kits and then review them for their channel. That is not what happened here, but I did watch several of those, and excuse me, I did watch several of those promotion type reviews, and I thought I'll go and have a wee look at the site myself, and I was very impressed with the number of kits that they had and the prices. And also at the time when I looked at the site, they were having a 20% off sale, so that made things even more affordable. And I found some kits that I really liked. This one is maybe a little more old-fashioned, I don't know, but I love this kind of traditional wintry Christmas look. And I was watching some of Priscilla and Chelsea's older episodes recently, and Priscilla had rescued a piece. It wasn't quite like this, but it was in this style. She'd rescued a piece of stitching from a thrift store, and she framed it in a hoop and hung it up for Christmas as Christmas decoration, and it was beautiful once it was hung in a hoop. And I know I can do hoops. Whether this will end up in a hoop or not, I will have to see. It'll be determined by the shape of the stitch in the end, but I just thought, yeah, there's a space for this in my home, and it would be nice if I could stitch it for part of our Christmas decor. So so I was enticed by that one, and then I also found this one, so I thought it could be a companion piece. Sorry, these are by the Magic Needle, and this one is called Winter House, and this one is Winter Cottage. I like the little bridge there and the lanterns. I just think they're really pretty. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea and you might be hating them, but I really like them. So these are kits. They use Gamma thread, which I believe is a quality thread just elsewhere in the world. And it's a 16 count Aida fabric. These are both a white Aida. They come with the colour chart and the instructions and the needles. Yeah, I ordered those two. And I've got a little story to tell. Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. So Winter Cottage was in my order, but there was a little hiccup with my order from my bobbin. And as you can see from the code up here, it's very, very similar to this code here. Okay, and what happened was when my order was picked, the person picking my order didn't pick this one, they picked this one by accident. So you can see it's 100,042 and this one's 110,042. So it was just a small understandable error in picking numbers. So I got this chart even though I hadn't ordered it. And I didn't get the one that I did order, but it was all resolved very swiftly, very quickly, with no fuss whatsoever by mybobbin.com. I just sent them an email, explained what had happened. They said, oh, you're right. And they popped the correct chart in the post to me. And it didn't take terribly long to arrive, either my original order or this one, maybe 2 weeks, if even 2 weeks from Russia to the UK. So that was pretty good. But as a result, I have this chart that I didn't order. And I did ask them if they would like me to return it. And they said no, I could just keep it. So I agreed with them that I would use this chart as a giveaway on my channel. Now they haven't supported this in any other way. So I just wanted to do it because they were letting me keep it. It isn't something I want to stitch, but somebody out there might like it and you might be that person. So if you would like to stitch this, I will be offering this up as a giveaway and I will give you the details of that in just a minute. So I'll move it a little bit closer so that you can see it. It is very pretty. It's just not for me. So if you would like this, I think it's called Light of Inspiration. If you would like a chance to win this kit, then you can join you can add a comments for the giveaway and I'll give you the details of that in a wee minute. So you can see it was just an error, but my bobbin were great about sorting it out swiftly, no problems whatsoever. Of course, there were lots of other things on the site, and there was one in particular that I couldn't leave behind, and maybe you can see why. Teacups. So this is Luca S kit. I don't know Magic Needle or Luca S, but I have heard people talking about them. They do seem to be quality kits. This uses anchor threads, beautiful threads, beautiful colours, and very pale blue 16 count Ada. So I know not everyone loves kits, not everyone loves to stitch on Ada, but I was very tempted, obviously more than tempted, by this kit. The beautiful turquoise teacups in it. So that was my haul from mybobbin.com. So I ended up with 4 kits, ordered 3, ended up with 4, and there's one of them is then going to be a giveaway for you. So if you would like to win Light of Inspiration, please be 18 so that I can ask for your mailing address. Please like and subscribe the channel. Don't use the words giveaway or winner or anything of that nature, or freebie. Don't use any of those words in your comment, but use the word lantern, LANTERN, lantern. Okay, so just use the word lantern, and then I will know to enter you in the giveaway. I will do a drawing for the giveaway the morning that I do my next post, which will most likely be around the 20th of August. So about 2 weeks away. I will draw on the morning that I'm posting, and you never know, it might be you. So it does look, it's got a very nice big chart, so I can't really show you, but it's nice. It's colour and symbol chart. It looks really well laid out, and the threads look lovely, if you can see in the side, maybe. Okay, so that's the giveaway for you if you're interested. Let's see what's left. Plans. Well, that's anybody's guess at this stage, I think, given that we're still in the school holidays, and yeah, each day is getting a bit longer, feels like, and not maybe as much stitching time as I would like. But I do want to keep up with the Be Happy, the needlepoint, to see if I can keep my daily thread going through that and progress that to an end. And I've got all sorts of things to be getting on with, as you can see. So I'm quite sure there will be more stitching, just not exactly and entirely sure what that stitching will be at this point. So that's really all I have for the cross stitch portion of today's video. If you're not interested in my quilty gettings on, then perhaps you want to bail out now, which is perfectly understandable, and I'll say goodbye and see you in a couple of weeks. If you're going to hang around for the quilty stitching section, then I do have a bit more to show you today, and I'm hoping that you'll enjoy it. So let me show you what I've been up to. Okay, so you know, if you've been watching for a little while, that I am making some Great Granny Squared blocks from the Laurie Holt book, Great Granny Squared. I think it's Great Granny Squared quilt. And I am making blocks so that I can make the quilt for the Siblings Together charity, which is a UK charity which gives quilts to children who are separated from their siblings in the British care system. So they're not able to be with their brothers or sisters while they're in foster care, perhaps. And every year, Siblings Together run camps for those children, maybe at Easter or in the summer, and those children are allowed to go to camp with their siblings, so it's an opportunity for them to be together when they can't normally be. And some years ago, there was a quilting charity set up for that, to support that, And so at these quilting camps, the children get to choose quilts to take home with them as reminders and big cuddly snuggly hugs, reminders of their time with their brothers and sisters at their summer camp or Easter camp or whatever it might be. Sorry, there's a funny noise in my other room and I was just trying to work out if somebody's coming in or not. Sorry. So yes, it's just a little bit of blessing really to offer to the kids as a reminder. So I have been making the Great Granny Square blocks along with my friend. That is, we haven't been able to be sewing through the summer because my house is full during the day. But I made a couple more blocks myself. So these 3 will take me to 17 blocks in total. There we go. And I'm using all Lori Holt fabrics, and I'll show you if I can. Just different white on white fabrics for the background. Sorry, it's bleaching out a lot, can't really tell. See if I can get this one. That's the 3rd block. I'm not sure if you can see there's different patterns on all those whites, just to go for a scrappy background look. I can see them a little bit there. So obviously the blocks will be trimmed square soon, but I haven't trimmed them yet. I'm just going to wait and trim them all together once I have them all made. So I'm at 17 and there should be 20, and then the blocks will get sashing and cornerstones, and we are not going to do the original border of the quilt, but we'll probably just add a more simple border. But that's coming along nicely, and I'm looking forward to having my friend back stitching with me in September again, so that we can progress those quilts a little bit. So the other things I have been stitching on in my machine stitching time is making some project bags. Now you remember that a couple of weeks ago, sorry, I can't, it's late at night, I can't talk. A couple of weeks ago I was away in England visiting my stitchy friends, and it was Di's house that we were at, and while we were there we had the pleasure of being able to raid Di's D-stash box. So she had a bunch of fabrics that she just had decided she was having a tidy up, and she had decided that she wasn't probably going to use them again. So the other 3 of us had a very pleasant 15 minutes choosing bits and pieces from her D-stash box that I was happy to pass on. So as a thank you to her for the bits and pieces that I was able to pick out of her box, I used some of those pieces to make her some project bags. And I did ask her if she would like project bags. Now, she's not a cross stitcher, so the project bags that she wants will be for quilting blocks. So they're quite big. So these are 15.5 inches square. There are 2 this size. And then there's one that's slightly smaller that she wants for some more of her hand stitching projects. She does sometimes EPP and things like that. So these are, the binding fabric is one from my own stash, but this polka dot fabric and this lovely fabric, which is the main fabric here, it's in the back, is a coca fabric. So it's almost like linen, it's beautiful. And I did say to her, look, since we're taking all these fabrics, why don't I make you some project bags if you would like them from these fabrics that you're not wanting to stitch with anymore. So she was delighted with that idea, and that's the first one. It's fully finished. The binding is fully stitched down on the back. So that's one. The second one is this gorgeous. I love this fabric. Isn't that lovely? Kind of another vintagey stitching fabric. You can see that I have to stitch the binding over on the back. Just I need to finish that. I use more of her fabric above and below the zip, And then this is a fabric from my stash, just with scissors on it. And I quilted this one in a grid. So the first one is quilted, which you can see quite clearly, with diagonal squares. This one is quilted on the diagonal, but I used the wavy line stitch, and there is a name, serpentine stitch. Like I was trying to think it was called snake, but it's serpentine stitch on my machine, and I just did the same thing really. It's a diagonal grid, but with a serpentine stitch, which just gives it a little bit more texture. Maybe you can see it there. So that's her second project bag. And the third one, which is the slightly smaller one for EPP, had another beautiful cocoa fabric, that linen type, with more sewing notions on it. Reds and burgundies. Again, I need to stitch the binding all the way over to finish it. You can see this one's red, and I have a little piece of Sew Mama Sew fabric by Sweetwater in there for the lining. So that was last weekend's machine work. And it was nice to spend time behind my sewing machine again, especially since I'd missed out being able to machine stitch much on our time away, just with the heat and everything else. So that was nice to get to that. When we were away, we swapped our gifts, and I showed you last time what I made for my friends. I showed you the little correspondence folios, but I wasn't able to show you the gifts that they had made for me because they were en route home. I had posted a box of things that wouldn't fit in my luggage, my overhead cabin luggage. I posted a box of things home, and the gifts were in there, so I wanted to show you those today. So Di made us each a little brooch, nice little wool felt on the back, so that's pretty. And she made these beautiful little needle cases or sewing cases. I'll untie this, and I think this might be a retro mama design. Di she calls herself Willowbeck Designs, so that's her label. And there's a little slot here. You can put your scissors and maybe hang a thread off if you're working with embroidery thread. Some felt for your needles, and a little zippy pouch just to maybe keep something safe in there. It's beautifully lined. And the outer was made with all tilde. I was going to say Liberty, but it's not Liberty, it's tilde, with tilde hexies, all EPP'd, English paper pieced. And they're just beautiful. So we each got one of those. Di had made a hexagon panel for each one of us in colours that we each like. And she had obviously then followed the pattern and stitched up those little sewing cases. So I think that would be very cute as a travel piece, or maybe just for my cross stitching. So that was our gift from Di, the brooch and the sewing case, needle case. Judith made us each a log cabin, a little wall hanging, a log cabin cross. I did say that we share our faith and in our friendship, and so this is very special to us, and we each have, there's a little hanging tab at the top, and Judith put a little tag on each person's with an appropriate verse of scripture, which was very sweet of her. Oh, and look at the backing. Isn't that gorgeous? And just very me. Teacups. So that was the gift from Judith, sorry. And we each have one in, again, a lot of these are tilde, in fact they're all tilde. So we have lots of tilde. Beautiful. And Trudy made us each a journal cover with a little journal inside. So there you go. And this one has a pocket on the front, which is very hard to see to do it that way around. There we go. There you can slip your pen into the pocket on the front. And some lovely matchstick quilting. And look at this gorgeous print. It's all kind of retro cookware, like retro Pyrex perhaps. Isn't it cute? And then there's a nice flaps inside. So the journal covers, there's lots of tutorials around online for journal covers, and they're not, I mean, that's pretty much what I used, was an adapted version of a journal cover for the correspondence folios that I showed last week, or the last video. So there are lots of them around online, and Judith, Just Jude Designs, has a notebook cover, journal cover tutorial. She uses a specific pattern. I think it might be a quarter log cabin pattern, but you can make the panel up to be any design you want, and you can see that Trudy's just done that with lovely strips of coordinating fabrics. So it doesn't have to be the log cabin, but you could follow Judith's tutorial to find out how to make one, and you can just adapt the actual patchwork design of it yourself. So those are my wonderful quilty gifts. I'll retrieve that pen from my Stitchy friends, and you can see why we enjoy doing our handmade gift swap when we get together. It's nicer than Christmas sometimes. So those were the gifts, and I have one last thing to show you today, which is a piece of quilty haul. I have shown you in the past that I had ordered a seasonal piece. It was the winter sampler from Sarah and Penny at Pretty Fabrics and Trims. So let me show you. This is the summer one, which has been released recently, and I ordered it. So the summer one's has come in a nice box. So it's a Sew a Little Happiness Everyday Summer Sampler Mini Quilt Kit. Now I have the winter one, I have the spring one, but I don't think I showed that to you. And oh, there's a bit more extra in here. I'll show you that as well. And then this one is the summer one, and obviously there will be an autumn one to follow. I haven't stitched any of them yet, and I am saving them for 2022. It's going to be busy in 2022. I would love to start them now, but I realised the other day that I've really got a lot on the go and need to keep working at what I have already started, to try and move some of those along. Anyway, this is how the box comes. It's just a little box, little narrow box, pops through your door. Look at the tissue paper with the little spools on, isn't it gorgeous? And inside here is everything that you will need to stitch the summer sampler. So let me show you. Let's see. So there's floss and wadding and beautiful scraps of fabric. They've all been cut for you. The little envelope will contain the paper pieces that are needed for the design. And this is the design booklet, the pattern, the fabric. For stitching is underneath that wadding down there. It's hard to see, but this is the design booklet. This is the summer sampler. It follows the same format as the others, pretty much. But it will be really nice to have a little seasonal set. So if you are interested, I'm sure there are probably more of these on the Pretty Fabrics and Trims website, if you want to have a little look. But there's some embroidery and applique and quilting. I'm really looking forward to finding time to make these next year. And it's quite nice, although it seems a little bit of a shame that I'm ordering them now and not stitching them. It's quite nice to have them in waiting. While I was ordering the summer sampler, I got the email notification to say it was being released, and I popped on the site. I noticed that Sarah also had some new accessories. So she had this beautiful thread sorter, And this needle minder, you see that? And they say a little happiness in every stitch. And those are phrases that got me through the lockdown last year, because Sarah was the one who initiated the Sew a Little Happiness every day samplers that we did ourselves, and I showed that. If you want to have a look at that and haven't already seen it, I showed that back in my first or second Flosstube videos. Those were grids, something like this, but everyone just started their own grid and filled in their own thing with a few minutes stitching each day, just really to take our minds off the news and what was going on in the first lockdown. So I'm very pleased to support Sarah doing this, because she has contributed a lot to the community and a lot to my mental health as well. So delighted to see that these little accessories have her little slogan on them, and they're just lovely quality as well. I actually have had this one just up as a decoration in my sewing nook at the side here, rather than actually having threads on it. But I guess at some point I will put threads on it properly. So just showing you some of the goodies that you could be enticed into. And I should really have started with a disclaimer for all of the haul that I've shown and all the projects that I showed, because I keep getting blamed for being an enabler, and I think that's really very unfair. I know that Flosstube is just one great big enablement, really, but it is showing us what's out there, and it is allowing us to have more choices, better choices, and enjoy things. So I'm sorry if your purse hurts after watching me. I'm very sorry about that. But I also hope that as a result of the pain in your purse, that you have some beautiful pieces to work on. And that's really about all there is for today. I think I've probably kept you for long enough. So there were lots of pretties, a little bit too much haul maybe. And I hope you didn't mind my little helper joining us today. She'll be very pleased to see herself embedded into the entire video tomorrow, hopefully. And maybe she'll join us again sometime, who knows. We'll see how predictable. She's not very predictable, so we'll see. Anyway, until the next time, I hope that you will take care of yourselves, that you will not forget to enter the giveaway if you fancy a chance at the lantern pattern, and that you will all stay well and stitch happy. Goodbye.